You know, that phrase, the new normal, it keeps popping up everywhere, doesn't it?
It really does.
It feels like this global nod that, yeah, the pandemic wasn't just a pause. It actually, like, fundamentally shifted things.
Exactly. And that's what got us digging here at the deep dive.
Yeah.
It's definitely more than just a buzzword. It's about seeing real, well, accelerated changes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at specific places like China, right after those first big waves hit,
Mm-hmm.
you get this fascinating, almost real-time snapshot of what that new normal could actually look like.
Totally. And we found some really interesting stuff focusing specifically on the Chinese tech scene, the digital landscape during that time.
Right.
It's almost like watching a blueprint unfold, you know? How digital life just evolves under that kind of intense pressure.
Yeah. So we're going to zoom in on some key areas that really show this.
Okay.
Our sources really highlight some major shifts in, well, just how people lived and interacted day to day. We're talking a real transformation in several key parts of life.
So first up, we should probably unpack the huge shift in retail. I mean, it wasn't just a small change. It was a massive leap, right?
Yeah.
From physical stores to online.
Oh, absolutely.
And some really inventive stuff came out of it, like live e-commerce really taking off.
Yeah, we'll get into that. And then there's the whole online entertainment explosion.
Right.
Think about the huge surge in mobile gaming and even how, movies were released completely differently.
And groceries. Can't forget how we started getting our food. That rapid growth of fresh food e-commerce.
Mm-hmm.
And the totally new delivery ways that popped up, that's a story in itself.
It really is. We'll also touch on the rise in online healthcare services, how people started accessing medical care differently.
Okay.
And finally, remote work, which in China is actually a bit more nuanced than you might think.
Oh,
Yeah, some surprising regional differences there.
interesting. So, okay, the mission for this deep dive is really to dissect these changes in China, try to figure out what's genuinely sticking around, and understand how our digital lives are being reshaped right now.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's dive in. How we buy things. Retail seems like it went through a massive upheaval.
Yeah, our sources make it pretty clear. The pandemic just triggered this huge move from physical stores to e-commerce in China.
Lockdowns obviously were a big part of it.
Of course. But also, it looks like smaller businesses, the ones really struggling with forced closures,
Mm-hmm.
they desperately needed to find online channels just to survive.
What's fascinating is how fast and, frankly, how creative they got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, traditional shops suddenly empty, they had to think on their feet, and that's where we saw this explosion of live e-commerce.
Right. So you're talking about shop owners literally locked in their stores,
Yeah.
using platforms like Taobao, which is, huge in China,
Massive.
to live stream and sell stuff directly to people watching at home. It's like bringing the shop to your sofa.
Exactly. And it wasn't just like clothes or gadgets either.
Mm.
We saw a big jump in people using the established food delivery apps too, Woodwama and Meituan.
Ah, right. They became essential.
Totally. For restaurants trying to stay open and for people just needing to eat.
It really feels like the pandemic just hit the fast forward button on trends that were already kind of bubbling under the surface.
Definitely. Businesses that might have been dragging their feet about going online
Uh-huh.
suddenly had no choice. Adapt or, disappear.
And you have to think about the consumer side, too. Being kind of forced to buy online might have shown people a level of convenience they hadn't really clocked before.
That's a really good point. And the success, the early success we saw with live e-commerce and the boom in food delivery,
Yeah.
it suggests they're probably here to stay, even as things get back to, whatever normal is now.
Right. People have tasted that convenience. And for businesses, it's opened up whole new ways to reach customers. It does make you wonder about the future of, say, the traditional shopping mall.
Yeah, big question. Okay, let's shift gears. Entertainment. How did people keep busy?
Well, being stuck inside obviously led to this massive boom in online entertainment. Mobile gaming especially just exploded during China's Spring Festival lockdown period.
Right, and the example of Tencent's Aiyun, Honor of Kings, that really stands out.
It does. And it's not even a new game, right?
No, not at all. But it saw this incredible surge in daily active users. The numbers are pretty wild.
Yeah, what were they again?
Jumped from a peak of around 31 million the year before to, get this, 54 million daily active users.
Wow. That's huge for an existing game.
It is, and it's interesting why this particular older game had such a comeback.
So what did the sources say?
Well, a few things. Apparently, the gameplay itself is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
It's built around team play, so it fosters that social connection people were craving.
Makes sense. In isolation.
Exactly. And it appeals to a really broad audience, including a lot of women players.
Right. So simple, social, accessible.
Mm-hmm.
In a time of uncertainty, you want something familiar, something you can do with friends, even virtually.
Ticks all the boxes. And we saw similar trends with other online games too, multiplayer stuff, even like online chess and mahjong.
Yeah, the classics went digital too.
But it wasn't just games. There was also that pretty groundbreaking move in the film world, the online release of Lost in Russia.
Yes. During what should have been its big cinema release window.
Exactly. And the way they did it was fascinating.
Go on.
ByteDance,
Yeah.
you know, the TikTok Douyin guys, and also Ziggo Video, they offered the movie completely free on their platforms.
For free, wow.
And the result, a massive spike in app downloads. We're talking millions in just one day for both TikTok and Ziggo Video.
That just shows the immense power of those platforms as distribution channels now.
Talk about shaking up the old model. But our source does point out this wasn't exactly welcomed by everyone.
No, I bet not. The traditional cinema chains must have been furious.
Pretty much. They saw it as a direct threat to their whole business.
And you can see their point. It raises really big questions about the future of how movies get seen.
Definitely.
I mean, okay, this was maybe an exceptional situation, but the success of that online premiere, it hints at a possible future where more movies are made specifically for online release, maybe even skipping cinemas altogether sometimes.
Yeah, how does that change the economics for filmmakers, for studios? Big questions.
Huge.
Okay, let's switch to something really fundamental. Food. Groceries.
Right. Another area that saw just enormous change, demand for fresh food e-commerce and those new retail supermarkets that also do fast online delivery.
Mm-hmm.
It just skyrocketed. Some areas saw demand jump by like 3 to 7 times.
7 times.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And that kind of sudden surge must have put unbelievable pressure on the whole system.
It did. Take Alibaba's too,
Yeah.
Hema Fresh, you know, the chain with the physical stores, but also rapid delivery.
Yeah, I know them.
They ran into huge problems. They were already short-staffed because it was the Spring Festival holiday.
Right.
And then this wave of demand hit. Deliveries got seriously delayed. Lots of unhappy customers.
So how did they cope? That's where we saw some really quick, clever thinking, wasn't it?
Exactly. Hema Fresh came up with this shared employee idea.
Shared employees?
Yeah, they partnered with restaurant chains like
Okay.
Olsai, which had been forced to close temporarily.
Ah, okay.
And they basically borrowed their staff people who suddenly had nothing to do to help out in the Hema stores and with deliveries.
That's brilliant. Kind of an emergency workforce sharing.
It was pretty remarkable how fast they pulled it together. We're talking like 21 restaurant chains and maybe 1,200 employees getting redeployed almost instantly.
Wow.
It's a great example of, you know, different industries finding ways to help each other out when things get tough.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if we'll see more of that kind of flexibility in the future.
Yeah, maybe. Meanwhile, though, other platforms like Daily Yuxian and Rojang, they also struggled, right? Keeping up with delivery times was tough.
It seems like the existing logistics just got completely swamped by the sheer number of orders.
Right. But compare that to Ku, JD Diogea. Their experience was quite different.
How so?
Well, they reported this massive 470% jump in sales, which is huge.
Okay.
But impressively, they mostly managed to keep their 1-hour delivery promise.
Really? How did they manage that when others were struggling?
Our source points to a couple of things. First, JD.com, the parent company, just has this incredibly robust established logistics network already in place. Warehouses, drivers, the whole thing.
Okay, so infrastructure was key.
Definitely. And second, JD Diogeo works more like a platform. It handles deliveries for lots of different big retailers like Walmart, Yonghui Supermarket.
Ah, I see. So they're aggregating orders.
Exactly. Which seems to make the delivery routes much more efficient. A driver might pick up orders from several different stores in one go. It highlights how that kind of consolidated model can really work.
That makes a lot of sense. Instead of every store running its own little delivery fleet, you centralize it.
Right. And the source mentions Hema Fresh is also working hard on improving its own delivery efficiency now, building more stores, optimizing routes. Logistics is clearly crucial in this game.
Absolutely. And the long-term impact here could be huge. The pandemic basically gave millions of people a crash course in online grocery shopping.
A forced trial, almost.
Yeah. And for many, it probably went from being something they did occasionally to just how they shop now.
Mm.
The convenience factor is massive. We saw huge numbers of new users signing up daily for all these platforms.
So this might be one of the most fundamental, lasting changes in just everyday behavior.
Quite possibly.
Okay, moving on. Healthcare. Another area that saw a big digital push.
Yeah, it started with people flocking to platforms like Dingxiangyuan, just looking for reliable information about the pandemic itself.
Right, trying to figure out what was going on.
Exactly. And that increased traffic naturally funneled people towards their online consultation service, Dingxiang.
And what was notable about that service?
Well, two things, really. Accessibility and cost. Consultations were apparently super cheap, like 10 RMB.
Wow, that's incredibly low, like $1 or $2.
Pretty much, which really lowers the barrier for someone thinking, should I bother a doctor with this minor thing?
Totally changes the calculation. And the service itself was pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, our source describes text and voice chats, sending photos or videos for the doctor to look at, and even getting e-prescriptions sent out, with medicine delivery arranged afterwards.
Yeah.
It's basically a virtual clinic visit for many common issues.
And culturally, this maybe wasn't such a huge leap in some ways?
That's what the source suggests. There's apparently already a cultural acceptance in China of consulting, say, traditional Chinese medicine practitioners, for less serious things, sometimes remotely.
Ah, okay.
So that existing comfort level might have made people more open to using these online platforms for general health advice, too.
It laid some groundwork, maybe. And the potential impact, especially for people outside the big cities.
Exactly. Think about rural areas where getting to a doctor might be difficult. Online consultations could be truly transformative for access.
Yeah, it really opens things up. It does make you wonder about the future model, doesn't it?
How so?
Like, could we see a system where routine stuff, check-ins, minor ailments, that all moves online?
Freeing up clinics for more serious in-person cases.
Yeah, a more efficient, maybe tiered system.
It's definitely a possibility that online healthcare could help create.
Okay, final area. Work. How and where people work. Remote work or telework. Huge increase there too, right?
Massive. Especially driven by Alibaba's DingTalk app. The download numbers were staggering. Over 100 million during that Spring Festival period alone.
Just incredible numbers. What was driving that adoption?
According to our sources, kind of two main things. First, schools.
Ah, online classes.
Exactly. Educational institutions grabbed onto it as schools shut down. The video conferencing, the collaboration tools. It looked like a solution.
Though we should probably mention, the experience wasn't always great for the students, right?
No, that's a fair point. The source notes quite a bit of negative feedback from students who were suddenly forced into this online learning world. It shows rolling out large-scale remote education isn't simple.
True. Technology isn't always a magic bullet. What was the second driver for DingTalk?
Businesses using it for remote work itself. And Alibaba was quick to add features like health tracking.
Health tracking.
Yeah, allowing companies to monitor employee health info, which during a pandemic was obviously a big concern for employers trying to manage reopening or remote teams.
Okay. But what's really surprising, you mentioned earlier, is that before the pandemic, remote work in China was actually really uncommon.
Yeah, incredibly low. Less than 1% adoption historically.
Wow. So this was a massive, sudden shift.
It really highlights how the pandemic just forced the issue. Our source offers a couple of cultural reasons for why it was so low before.
Like what?
Well, apparently a strong tradition of keeping work and private life quite separate.
Okay.
And also maybe a preference for living close to the office, prioritizing a short commute over working from home.
Interesting. A different set of priorities, perhaps. But
Yeah.
you also mentioned regional differences.
Yeah, this was fascinating. The uptake of remote work was actually higher in some of the smaller sort of second-tier cities compared to the huge megacities like Beijing or Shanghai.
Huh. Why'd that be?
The thinking is it might be down to transportation. In those smaller cities, public transport might be less comprehensive or more crowded.
Making the commute feel like a bigger hassle or maybe a bigger risk during the pandemic.
Exactly. So it opens up this interesting possibility for the future. Maybe remote work becomes more embedded in those smaller cities.
While the big cities snap back to the office culture.
Potentially. A kind of divergence in working styles based on location.
Okay, so let's try and pull all these threads together. What does this emerging new normal in China actually look like based on all this?
Well, clearly there's been this really profound and probably lasting shift towards doing things online. shopping, getting food delivered.
Yeah, for a huge range of things.
Absolutely. But it's not just about everything moving completely online. The sources really stress the integration, online and offline blending together more.
Like hybrid models becoming standard.
Yeah, exactly. Think about education. Maybe you have in-person classes, but lots of online resources and supplementary learning.
Or healthcare, you see a doctor in person for serious stuff, but use online consults for follow-ups or minor issues.
Right, or even retail with that live e-commerce, which is kind of a blend itself.
And you could see different service levels emerging too, right?
I mean,
Like, maybe basic online health consultations become super cheap and accessible, while more in-depth face-to-face care comes at a premium.
that's definitely possible. A sort of stratification of services based on delivery method.
But maybe one of the biggest potentials here is how all this online infrastructure could really boost smaller cities and rural areas.
Yeah, leveling the playing field a bit.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Improving access, strengthening local economies, creating opportunities outside the traditional mega hubs. The whole online everything idea could actually democratize things.
It really feels like China is, right now, actively building and defining this new phase.
Yeah.
And as our sources suggest, watching how this unfolds is pretty crucial because some of these adaptations, these new models, could definitely influence how things develop elsewhere in the world.
For sure. I mean, this rapid acceleration we've talked about across retail, entertainment, healthcare, work, it wasn't just a blip.
No.
It seems like it's laid the foundation for a genuinely different landscape, this new normal.
So maybe a final thought then for you listening. Thinking about all these changes we've just discussed in China, what parts of your own daily life do you think are most likely to be permanently changed by this ongoing blend of online and offline? What are the upsides you see? And maybe what are the challenges or downsides we need to watch out for as this evolution continues?